Joined by head coach Marty Favret of Hampden-Sydney College football. They were picking a tie for second in this year's football preseason poll. Coach, let's talk about the logjam we see there at number 2 in the poll, but let's use it from last year right now, as we had a 4-team logjam at the number 1 spot. Tiebreakers, when it was all sifted out, sent your Tigers on to the playoffs and awarded the ODAC title coming through with that. So congratulations on that to continue the string that you've had over the last several years. I think that's 5 NCAA tournament appearances in the last 6 years for you. So that's a nice run. But talk a little bit about what we saw last year with the teams at the top there that were so tight, and also the games that were won by the teams that weren't in that logjam portion of it.
Well, there's, I've been talking to alums, and we certainly aren't apologizing for winning the league, and we were able to beat Emory and Henry and Guilford, which turned out to be enough for us. But clearly, it's a league of matchups, and when you see us get handled pretty easily by Bridgewater, and in turn kind of beat Emory pretty handily, it was just one of those things. And a lot of things came into play for us. Personally, Holton got banged up the last 2 games, and that definitely hurt us. But no excuses. It's a good league, and I think the poll reflects what people saw last year. Certainly, losing quarterbacks and having to bring along new guys always sort of is a big emphasis, I think, with the coaches. And I think that's certainly one of the reasons Guilford is picked to win it, because they got a 4-year starter coming back there that's obviously a really good player.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the point of emphasis that you have for your squad coming this year. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball. You've got some names you got to replace: a quarterback, Nash Nance, your wide receiver, Holton Walker, who I believe fell 30 yards short of the school record for receiving yardage. Talk a little bit about what your plans are for those 2 spots, as well as the rest of your positions there on offense.
Well, we've had a plan, and I know in 06 we sort of didn't have as good a plan, but we have 2 young men that are now going to be upperclassmen, and Kyle Farlow and Edgar Moore. Both of them are very, very competent quarterbacks. Edgar's from Tallahassee, Florida. He's a big kid. He's got a stronger arm than Nash. Neither one of them are the runner we had with Nash, so that part of our offense is going to have to change a little bit. Wide receiver, we got some toys and some tools. Mike May comes back, a 3-year starter. He's 6'5". Cam Johnson's a star in the making. He's a Fork Union kid that came in after a 5th year. Got hurt a little last year and played behind Holton. So actually had a pretty good playoff game against Wesley. He got baptized against those guys. So we're going to have 2 6'3", 6'5" out wide. We got a lot of tight ends that we think we can throw into the mix. I don't see us missing a beat offensively. The other side of the ball, we're losing 4 of our top 5 tacklers, and we need some kids to grow up in a hurry if we're going to be competitive on defense this year.
I think that's kind of where I wanted to go next when we're talking about it. I don't want to call it rebuilding, because it's not that, because you continually recruit, so you've got the kids there, they just haven't been seen yet. But how do you go through the process of retooling? So once last season ended and it officially was done for the seniors, how do you start the retooling process, and how do you continue that going in here with the preseason to get ready for coming into the regular season now?
JJ, I think the biggest challenge for us is the Holton Walkers and Nash. They expected to win, and they were cocky. They felt like we were the best team in the league, and we won the last 2, 3 of the last 4. So we graduated a class that was the only goal. And now you have some guys that maybe are looking around the room and saying, "Damn, are we that good?" And you got to kind of get them to believe that, hey, we got a good program. We play 4 of our first 5 ODAC games at home. I see us really the last 8 years, we have been the last week of the season playing for a championship every year, and that's our goal this year, is maybe go down to Greensboro in November and still have something on the line, and then may the best team win.
I talked to Coach Clark about defense a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit with you about offensive philosophy, and that we see teams moving with different defenses. Coach Clark talking about playing an umbrella defense, and we've seen what Coach Preseason has brought to Guilford with his heavy defensive formations. How difficult has it been for you to adjust your offense and what you've been able to do to combat what teams have started to do on defense that are designed at sometimes to compete with what you've been able to do with your offense over your tenure?
Well, I think that the trend, from Division I on down is to try to get more speed on the field. And I think, we're unique offensively. I think from game plan standpoint, the thing that Mike and Chris and them have kind of focused on is making us earn everything and taking the deep ball away from us. So, you're forced to be a little more patient. We're lucky this year. We got our entire offensive line back. So we may be a little more Pedro-like as far as style-wise and run the ball a little bit more, which I think will take some pressure off a new quarterback and pressure off a young defense. So, it's August, plans change, but we like how big we are up front. We think we can maybe push people around a little bit this year and combat those defenses you're talking about.
Kind of a bridging in from last year to this year for the final 1.5, 2 questions here. Not dwelling on the result, but last season, the final game, you got a chance to win the title outright. And it happens to be against that game that we have at the end of the season every year, the Randolph-Macon game. It doesn't come up good for you. Is that motivation coming into this season? Your guys still fired up, looking to come back from that game?
Yeah, I don't think it's the make and loss. We do look at the other 9 games as just as important, but we do feel we stumbled down the stretch last year, and not only that, but going to Wesley and just getting hammered, and we've lost 3 of our last 4 games. So, for me and my staff, it's motivation, and for our young guys, I think they felt that was Nash and Holton's team, and I think they want to go out and kind of prove that we can win without those guys. So we had a great spring. Our kids have worked hard this summer. I think there's sort of a resolve there that, we weren't just a 2-man team.
Let's take a look at the league this year then. We've got a team that on paper looks like they've separated themselves, being Guilford with where they are in the preseason poll, then that logjam again at number 2. But we've seen what those squads underneath can do. We know the talent they've got coming back with the all-conference returners. I think there's 37 across the league that are coming back. What do you see from the league this season?
A wide open, crazy. I say it every year. You're going to have to take care of home base and go on the road and try to steal 1 or 2. But I respect what Guilford has coming back, but, we've beaten them 15 straight years. I think our guys will look forward to the challenge. And, and that's way down the road. But you're right. I mean, Shenandoah brings back a back that scares everybody. Catholics always played us tough. WNL, I think that the last year was an anomaly for them. I think I see them coming back and being competitive again. So, game on, let's go play. We like the fact that we got a lot of kids in our program that have, ODAC championship rings and kind of know what it's all about. So we'll lean on that heavily.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for joining me, and good luck this season.
Thanks, JJ. I appreciate it.